Hello, my friends. I'm not sure if you saw, but on my community tab for about the last week, I have been wanting to hear you guys' opinions and thoughts on a certain quote. It's the saying, expect the unexpected. And my brain was kind of like, Sarah, I don't really know what I think about this quote. I wrote down kind of my thoughts and my opinions about it, but I wanted to hear your guys's as well. Or if you hear something in this video that makes you go, ah, or whoa, or oh my god, I have to say something about that. Yeah, just that's what the comments are for. So whenever I go about life or something weird is happening or something crazy happens, that saying does pop up into my head. I'm just like, oh, expect the unexpected. Or if I'm watching a video and something crazy happens, I'm like, oh, that's another example of why you need to expect the unexpected. But as I was kind of thinking about it, I was like, you know what, Sarah? I don't think that's a very progressive or helpful mindset to have. And this is where I was kind of like, well, no, it is a good mindset to have. And I was like, well, no, it's not a good mindset to have. So that's when I turned to my community tab and I asked you guys, and I was like, so what do you guys think about this? And I was like, and then I'll give myself some time, I'll give you guys some time to share your thoughts, and then we'll circle back around and be like, At first, as I had mentioned, I wrote down, we all know the saying, expect the unexpected. I kind of wanted to dissect that saying a little bit, so I just was like, all right, well, let's look up the actual definition of what an expectation is. So I looked it up, and an expectation is a noun. It is a strong belief that something will be or will be the case in the future. It's a belief that someone will or should achieve something, or an expectation can be about one's prospects of inheritance. So I was like, all right, I got that. And then I was like, well, what happens when you make a plan, right? You're preparing for something. So I went ahead and looked up the definition of prepare. So prepare is a verb. It's to make something ready for use or consideration, or to make someone ready or able to do or deal with something. When I saw those two next to each other, I was like, you know what? I kind of like the definition of being prepared a little bit more than having expectations. Because an expectation is just a belief that something will happen or might happen in the future. But a plan is to make yourself ready to be able or deal with something in the future. So I was like, all right. I kind of like where this is going. So then I asked myself, when was the first time I started to expect the unexpected? Because I didn't used to be that way. And in my opinion, as you guys had also mentioned, which we'll get to soon, in some of your responses, expect the unexpected is kind of like not really knowing what's going to happen, and that unknown and uncertainty causes anxiety. And so that saying itself is kind of like, expecting the unexpected kind of makes me anxious. And again, I was asking myself, when did you first start experiencing this? Because I remember back in the day, I swear, I remember up until I was 16, I did not have anxiety at all. I didn't even know what anxiety was. I tried to understand what it was, but it was just one of those things that kind of just went over my head. At one point, sadness was like that too. I had nothing to be sad about, absolutely nothing. And I used to feel so bad that I couldn't empathize or sympathize or understand what it was like to be depressed. Then life came, right? There was a time where, I wasn't really anxious. I wasn't really in the mindset of expect the unexpected because I was going to school. I kind of expected what was next. So the unexpected never really happened. The older I got, the unexpected actually started happening. And I think that's when that saying, I started in a sense resonating with it. The first time I was ever like, damn, expect the unexpected is real, was when my mom passed away. Or even when I got my first knee injury and I couldn't do gymnastics the way I used to. Those were just moments in my life where my perception of events to come or what to expect took a complete 360 flip into a new and completely foreign land. What used to be kind of this, oh, giddy, happy bunnies and ducks way of living turned into this, all right, I do need to expect the unexpected, and when shit happens, shit happens. I shouldn't have too high of expectations, right? So then that's kind of how I started rolling through life. I didn't have high expectations because I knew that if I had high expectations, I would be let down. So I didn't have high expectations with, for example, my self-confidence. I know this might sound weird, or with my relationships, or with my ability to even sometimes create content. I don't know why, but I was always just not wanting to have my hopes too high. Like, for example, if I posted a video and my expectations were that it would do really well and then it started to flop, I stopped having that confidence, and I started just going with the, oh, I'm gonna go with the flow, and what happens, happens. And it's not that I gave up, and it's not that I stopped my hard work, but I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. And this is also kind of why I wanted to talk to you guys about this, because expecting the unexpected it's kind of, I don't know, I feel like it's a very gray area. Even when I expected the unexpected, I wasn't prepared when the unexpected happened. I was expecting the unexpected to happen after my mom had passed away, right? One of the unexpected things was my dad passing away shortly after. It's not that I had expected that, but I did expect that. I don't know why. Like I said, I was kind of navigating in a very dark headspace where it was kind of like, okay, I'm not going to be surprised when this happens. When I realized that even when I expected the unexpected and all these unexpected things started smacking me in the face, I wasn't ready. And I was kind of like, dang, if I, like I said, if I kind of go by this saying where I'm just going to expect whatever happens to me, I don't feel like I'm ever prepared. And I saw that was a common theme with a lot of what you guys had to say in the community page, because everyone was just saying, I like to have things planned out. I like to be prepared. And that's why it's so funny, once I decided to just randomly look up that definition beforehand, I was like, yeah, we do kind of like to be ready and prepared, as opposed to just, having a belief or a hope that something will happen. Every time I think of a belief, I always be careful, because I'm like, Sarah, remember you used to believe in Santa? And I know that sounds so silly because we were just kids, but it was one of the biggest beliefs I ever had. And having that bubble be popped kind of woke me up to the notion of be careful what you believe in, because you're believing in it because it's not certain. So, right? We can't be certain about the future. I get that. But we can be prepared. We can try to prepare ourselves the best we can. If we just expect something to happen and we expect ourselves to be prepared without putting in the time or effort, I think that's where I found myself ending up. I was expecting the unexpected to happen. I thought I was prepared because I've been through the unexpected, but that wasn't preparing me for my future. And I feel like the future is the unexpected. It really is. We have no idea what the future is going to bring. And that's another thing that I was so curious about, you guys, because I'm telling you, I believe, I don't even want to say, I'm going to catch myself now that I'm saying that word. I truly, truly know how powerful thoughts can be. From even just being curious about something. I've been curious about something, and that little bit of curiosity has literally brought in like I said, an actual event into my life. And a part of me has always sat there and thought to myself, like, you totally thought about this. You kind of like played this in your head, and now it's happening. And so that's kind of where I'm getting at, what you guys are getting at with the, well, if we expect the unexpected to happen, I feel like in a sense that's almost inviting the unknown into our lives, as opposed to trying to manifest and bring in the positive things that we want in our lives. Instead of thinking, oh, the unexpected is gonna happen, how I used to think, like, oh, the unexpected is just gonna always sometimes be negative. I used to think, well, I should expect my dad to pass away because that's something you shouldn't expect to happen. I should expect to get in a car crash. Like, I don't know what it was. I just expected this. It's not, I shouldn't even say it was an expectation. It was just a thought, a belief, that this might happen, or in the future this might happen. I've never wanted to sound crazy, but there has been multiple instances in my life where I have had just like I said, a curiosity or a belief, and that has manifested itself into something that I don't know. I don't know if that would have happened if I wouldn't have pondered on it or thought about it, or, had a belief about it that one time. If my belief would have been different, I wonder if my circumstances would have played out differently. So that's why I'm wondering if we kind of switch our mindset behind this notion of expect the unexpected, and switch it to something like expect the magic to happen, expect the magical unexpectations, as opposed to just being okay with, I don't know how to I just kind of feel like, yeah. And like I said, I might just be speaking for myself. I was kind of skeptical about making this video. I'm like, Sarah, girl, you were already confused. You wanted to hear other people's thoughts because you were a little bit like, back and forth is what I was. I was like, this is a good thing, but this is kind of a negative thing. You know, one note I did write down was that I definitely think that we need to stay prepared, but we have to keep an eye out for our mental health. So for example, like I mentioned, right after my mom had passed away, my mental health went down the drain, and that's to be expected. You know, that with tragic comes, you know, a whole roller coaster of emotions. But I feel like if my state of mind, my mindset may have been just a little bit more healthy, I would have been a little bit more careful. I think things may have played out a little bit better, as opposed to me just sitting back and expecting the unexpected. Like, my life was just being weird, so I was like, all right, I'm not going to, like I said, I lost this confidence in I can manifest my own world. I can make what I want to happen. I can make this magic happen. It's like I just sat back and was waiting for the magic to happen now instead of creating it. And I promise you, I'm speaking from experience. It's been a while since it's been like that, but it's been that way. And that was something else I wrote down in my notes, was that, remember how I had mentioned, at least maybe you can resonate with this a little bit, but there was one time, maybe even if it was when we were 4 years old or 6 months old, we didn't have anxiety. We were just living life and experiencing things. We were able to people watch without judge or compare ourselves. We weren't out being anxious. Like, we were, those times where you're like in the mall and you just run away or like go play with stuff and, you lived like nobody was watching. We used to live like that once, And I feel like what happened is we were young. We didn't have any anxiety because we didn't really know what to expect. We're so young and ignorant. But once you grow up and you start gaining wisdom and you start realizing that life is kind of a crazy roller coaster filled with unexpected things, I think it's that experience itself that brings us anxiety. And that anxiety makes our mindset switch from this, oh, this is kind of cool, this world has anything, I could be a firefighter, I could be this, I could be a lawyer, to then being like, dang, I don't really have the confidence for anything, so I'm just going to expect the world to give me what it gives. I think that's what happened, is that little space and time in between where we're growing, we're learning, we're experiencing school, but then school is all of a sudden over and we graduated and we're like, whoa, okay, now I'm really anxious because I don't know what to expect. And it's just that unknown, It's the unknown, that uncertainty. And I think that's what gives us the anxiety. Like I said, switches that little flip from, this world is magic to, I hope magic meets me again. Since we've lost that hope, that confidence, that light, that spark inside of us, I think that it dulls our energy, it dulls our frequency, it dulls the vibration we're setting off. We can only get what we give, A frequency way outside of ours can't match ours if we're just, low and not wanting to mingle with the magic, not wanting to bounce back and forth off of that high energy. I just wonder if that's kind of something that may have happened. I think once we remind ourselves that if we experienced it before, we have the possibility to experience it not only again, but enhanced, more elevated, more beautiful than when we were young, because we have so much wisdom and knowledge to carry with us. They say ignorance is bliss, but now that I'm starting to get a little bit older, it is blissful, but there's so much magic on the other side too. It's a consistent path up the mountain, down the mountain, through a valley, under the river, over a log. It's endless. It's an endless little spiral for the time being. And I think for us to just expect the unexpected, like I said, we need to be careful with how and what we're expecting. I think if we take a huge note on a healthy mindset is what dictates our way of acting and handling the unexpected. So it's perfectly okay to expect the unexpected, but I think it's even more important for us to know how to handle, like we said, to be prepared, to be at a level state of mind, to say, I can look at this and not become emotionally attached. I'm not going to lose myself in this, and I'm not going to allow myself to lose myself in the future because of what happened today, the unexpected event, right? I would never go back and change a thing, but I wish I would have just had a different mindset and a little bit more of knowledge behind why that mindset is so powerful, because not only does it dictate how we handle the event that we're going through, but it's almost like it will show us what the future is going to be like. It's very, very hard in times of distress, in times of trouble, when the world is going psycho. It's very hard to vibrate at a high rate. So that's why I think reminding ourselves that how we handle stuff today is really, 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 really going to be more impactful on our future than on us today, even though we can't necessarily see that. I think it's like choosing to be optimistic about something or pessimistic about something. It's not necessarily that expecting the unexpected is a pessimistic thing, but you have to be optimistic if you're going to turn your wheels to that quote, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Something that also came to my mind when sitting down and thinking about expect the unexpected is that I had tried to apply that to myself, and I still do, during multiple different times of my life. And I think now sitting down and looking back at how I've kind of changed my understanding of that saying, and how when I hear it now, I don't think or feel what I used to when I hear that saying. And I think that's because I've used that saying to motivate me to gain control over the aspects that I can, quote unquote, control. So, you know, for example, my health, my mental health, my finances, my environment, my friend circle, my free time, my schedule throughout the day. Those things I do have control over. I have control over my mental health. I have control over my health. My friend circle, who my environment is, what my environment looks like. If it's messy, that's on me. If it's not, that's on me. But I'm in control of that. So when I hear that expect the unexpected, I understand that the unexpected is out there. You know, what is outside of my control is the unexpected. But what's inside of my control, I want to try to harness and focus on and love and care for as much as I can. Because in a sense, those things that I can control can be my cloud to kind of help lift me up when the unexpected does happen. I've used that to motivate me to control what I can control, and then be at peace with what I can't control. Because if I'm at peace with it, I'm not giving it any power. I'm not giving it any of my energy. It's not sucking any of my frequencies from me. It's motivating me to gain control over the things that I can control. And it's also motivating me to plan for the things I don't have total control over. So like we said, we don't just have to sit there and expect the unexpected to happen. We can take a day to ourselves and sit down and say, I'm not going to dwell on this. I'm not going to suck in all this energy and, make this happen. But I do want to make sure I have a backup plan for if anything unexpected does happen. It's not obsessing over the negatives or the unexpected things that can happen. It's just knowing that you're going to be okay if they ever do happen. And even if that means pre-planning and brainstorming just a little bit. And there's also nothing wrong if you find yourself in a moment where you're like, dang, something very unexpected has happened to me and I don't know what to do. We can sit down and pretend it's like 2 years ago and the unexpected hasn't happened yet. How would we have prepared ourselves? How are we plan? What is your plan now? Because if you just kind of pretend to pause time and think and plan, brainstorm really quickly, then you can apply it to your situation, and you're not just sitting there thinking like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. You can call a friend, you can call a loved one, you can do some research, but having a plan and not just sitting there trying to handle the unexpected in an unexpected manner, like just not knowing what you're gonna do, I feel like that's what will cause us more stress and more anxiety when the time comes. And if we do plan for it, it'll ease our anxiety right now, because we're like, oh, okay, it's not gonna happen. If there's a possibility it does happen, we're gonna be okay, and I can work my way through it. The things that I wrote down that we can be prepared for, not obsess over, but just have a plan B in case it does happen. Have something in the back of our mind. Even if we write it down and just have it in our journal. Shit just hit the fan, where's my journal? Just, you could grab it. So here's my list of things, and you can also try to make your own list and see what kind of things could potentially happen to you or have happened to you that you wish you would have been a little bit more prepared for. So my list goes: losing a job, losing a loved one, breaking a leg or getting severely injured, surgery, having a nice friendship end, a phone breaking, a car breaking, your electricity in your house going out, having to miss a lot of school or work, a sudden vacation or trip pops up. Say it's a family emergency. Say it's a birthday party of some sort. Say somebody is getting married, or say somebody is expecting a baby. A sudden vacation might pop up and it could be completely unexpected. My next one is having a baby. So that could be yourself, a loved one, say like your mother. If you have a young mom, you know, the unexpected could still happen. Falling into bad habits, smoking or drinking or drugs, getting married, getting a divorce, getting land, owning a home or being given a home. So for example, if you have a loved one who passes away, there's a home still, you know, the home isn't just going to up and disappear or walk away or take care of itself. So there's also that. Animals, say a stray dog comes into your life, or somebody asks if you could take care of an animal, or you're gifted an animal, or you really want to buy an animal and it's just unexpected. Also, say adopting. You didn't expect yourself to adopt somebody, or maybe your parents adopt a new sibling. That was my list of things. And as I was writing that was when I kind of realized that writing down a list of kind of the negative things, because I wrote down a sudden vacation, like a sudden family emergency, because I remember when my uncle passed away, I had to go to California and I was not prepared. Just the other day, my best friend told me she was going on a crazy trip and I'm like, oh yeah, she's like, I wish you could come. And I'm like, yeah, me too. Wish I would have been prepared for a cool vacation to just pop up, but I wasn't, you know? So then I started thinking, well, those are all really negative things. You made a list of negative things that happened, but what about the positive things? Like I said, what if all of a sudden you get a new car, you win a new car? What if, like I said, you all of a sudden go do a scratch ticket and you win $10,000? There's so many things that you could never in a million years expect. But I feel like a lot of us have gotten into the bad habit of just expecting the bad things to happen. And then when we think of expect the unexpected tends to fall into this dark shadow, and it doesn't have to. And I think when we allow it to fall into that shadow and our mind is just like, oh my God, I have to expect the unexpected, shit's probably just gonna happen. That's when I think we're attracting more of that sort of vibration, that sort of energy, those sorts of situations and people into our life. As opposed to kind of waking up and saying, you know what? I am going to expect anything. I'm going to get a new job today. Somebody's going to walk up to me and say, you know what? Can you be a model? You know what? Can I paint you? You know what? Do you want this golden ring? Hey, I'm selling my car, but I feel like I'm just going to give it to you. If we see that things aren't always life or death, and that the little things matter too, I think that will ease up on our uncertainty for the big things, our unease for the future. Remember when we were kids, we could not freaking wait for the future. We wanted to be a grown-up. We were acting like a grown-up, talking like a grown-up, thinking and breathing like a grown-up. Now what, you know? We can't let life's experiences hinder that spark we were given as a child, that literal magic. That magic where our imagination could make anything happen. The more we have confidence and the more we know we can rely on ourselves, we don't rely on anybody else. We don't piggyback off of somebody else. We don't go to them and suck all their energy out, right? I think that will also help us understand that it's okay for the unexpected to come. It's okay to expect the unexpected. And if the unexpected comes, that's cool. You know, that's what I mean is, when the unexpected happens and you have yourself to rely on, everything will be okay. You know, like even when my father died, I knew I had myself. I knew I would be okay. I knew I had been through it before. I can do it again. Having that confidence and that just reassurance, it really does help for when the unexpected does come, you know? And I knew I didn't have to go run and rely on anybody else to like save me or cure me or heal me. The unexpected almost always happens, no matter if it's good or if it's bad. So I think also just having that agreement, we shake hands with it and say, you know what? All right, this is how it's gonna go. I just have a feeling that might be very, very helpful. My last thought before I read your guys' opinions and thoughts. Sometimes I wonder if that is what's manifesting the type of life we might be experiencing. I just wonder if welcoming the unexpected things as opposed to having a planned set of goals is where some of us might have it messed up. I personally think that's where I am. I'm just over here welcoming the unexpected with open arms as opposed to having a set plan and making that plan happen. Turning my goals into reality as opposed to just seeing what the unexpected has to offer me. But then I wondered if not expecting the unexpected leaves us stuck. So I don't know. I didn't know if we should be in the middle ground of saying, all right, there's both sides to the end, expecting the unexpected like a doomsday prepper, or not caring at all and just letting it smack us in the face. Maybe the middle ground is where it's at, you know? I really want to hear your guys' thoughts. Let me know if, yeah, here. I wanted to read them first really, really quickly and see what you guys had to say. Because as I mentioned, I don't really know. I don't know if it's, you know, the mindset behind the saying that is what dictates our reality. If it's us believing in that saying that, I don't want to sound confusing, but yeah, I don't know if it's believing in that, just expecting the unexpected invites something unexpected. I don't know if being too prepared does something. I don't know. This is definitely a topic of conversation. We have N322. I'm probably going to take a screenshot and add these to the screen so you guys can read them with me. But N332 says, I'm generally a planner and like to have all possible outcomes accounted for to alleviate my own anxiety. But truly, I believe that even when the unexpected happens, we are so much more resilient than we give ourselves credit for and are equipped to go into action mode. I 100% agree with that. 100%. And what I also loved about this one was they mentioned that when the unexpected happens, we are much more resilient than we give ourselves credit. You know? I know there's been so many times in your life where you did not think you could get through it, whether it be health, finances, a relationship, a job, mental health, anything. But look at you now, you know, even if it was just the other night, even if it, you know, it's right now. I think that we need to give ourselves more credit. I like that. I like that a lot. If I also mention anybody's name wrong, I am so sorry. Looks like Vianney says, hi Sarah. Okay, when I hear that saying, what I imagine is that we may have all of these plans in place. Our planners can be filled with appointments and daily schedules of how our days will go, but we can't know for sure our future. It's good to have a plan for ourselves and where we want to go in life, but the best thing sometimes are disruptions, the surprises that appear in our day-to-day life. There was a day I didn't know you existed, and one day I came across a video of yours and listened. You are so funny and insightful. I admire you for your strength and vulnerability on this platform. The surprise of finding your channel was amazing. Anyways, sometimes things can go on a different path than we thought. Thank you very much. I really, really appreciate that comment. You guys have come across me, but I find it amazing that I've came across you as well. You know, it takes two to tango. And I know we're both not out here looking for each other, if that makes sense. Sometimes we are, you know, but that's also, you know, we're expect the unexpected. They are completely right. You never know who you're going to meet. It might be an unexpected person, right? Just like they mentioned, there might be even disruptions in our life. Sometimes disruptions teach us more than any magical event could ever happen. But I also like how they mentioned that sometimes the surprise might appear when we stumble upon a new channel. And I really do like that. I like that. So Uma, I always wondered why it was hard for me to deal with certain events in my life which seemed confusing or unexpected. Then I realized that this resistance of the unexpected is what gave me this anxiety. Life can be so crazy sometimes that the unexpected should be welcomed and almost expected. Whether it be a good or bad unexpected situation, it's easier to flow with it than fight against it. I really like that one as well. So Ola said, the most memorable things in my life, the best and the worst, were unexpected. I am the person who loves planning and being in the same routine every day because it's comfortable and I feel safe for some reason. But unexpected things makes me feel alive, and at the end, I'm grateful for whatever happened to me because thanks for that, I'm still learning who I am and what I want. I think that is so beautiful. And another thing I will tell you guys, I didn't want to read too many of these because I didn't want to piggyback or copycat what somebody else is saying. Just like, oh, I agree with that. I'm gonna put that in my notes and just like, oh, this I feel like this, you know? So I love how all of us kind of are saying the similar things. You know, we love planning. We love having things planned. But the unexpected things that do happen, sometimes they can be the best or the worst things that happen, but they make us feel so alive. As you had mentioned, and I completely agree with you, you are grateful for whatever happens because you're still learning who you are and what you want. And she's very right about that. It's the unexpected things that show us, teach us, and point us in a direction of where we want to evolve. If those certain situations, the good or bad, never happened to us, we might just still be sitting ducks, sitting little potatoes. So I really like that one. So CM Rocks said, I generally don't realize how the unexpected has impacted my life until much later, usually months or years. I don't see myself as someone who expects the unexpected. Rather, I plan and live my life and appreciate the experiences I have, whether I've anticipated them or not. I really like that one as well. And I resonate with the fact you said, usually you don't realize how much it's impacted you until years or months later. And I love that because it reminds me of what I had mentioned in the video where I had said how we kind of handle things now can really dictate how it can potentially affect us in the future. Because we might sit down one day and be like, dang, I had no idea that unexpected situation impacted me so much. You live your life and you appreciate the experience you have, whether you anticipated them or not. Kelly said, I literally have this tattooed on me. I look at it as unexpected things can always happen, whether you plan on things or not. There's things that are out of our control, and the way it unfolds isn't always up to us, so expect the unexpected. I love that, and I also find that so interesting that you have that tattooed on you, and we decided to talk about that today. This one, you mentioned a word, and I'm not sure what it means. Wow. I don't even know how to pronounce that. Angelica said, it's so emotionally tiring to expect the unexpected. I find myself obsessing over and putting so much thought on all of the possible outcomes and situations. Maybe it's the need to have control over everything. Then, when the future comes and the unexpected comes, I realize what a waste of energy and time it was to think of all this. When it comes to our future selves, though, I believe we can expect the unexpected in a way that is not making us obsessed or anxious. We put ourselves in a path with a goal on our minds expecting to reach this image. This is a healthy way to expect the unexpected, I guess, because we have a bigger vision and we can accomplish what we are dreaming in the long run. Again, though, life is so unexpected that we never know at which port the boat of life will take us. So I guess the best thing is to visualize and take action, but be prepared to handle with a pinch of stoicism the unexpected. So I wasn't sure what this word meant, and I love when people use amazing vocabulary. So it's the endurance of pain or hardship without the display of feelings and without complaint. I like that. That's very interesting. The endurance of pain or hardship without the display of feelings and without complaint. Wow, thank you for teaching me that word. I really like that. That kind of reminds me of myself sometimes. So she's very right. I really, really like that. The best thing is to visualize and take action and be prepared and handle with a pinch of stoicism. I hope I'm saying that right. Wow, that was beautiful. I really, really liked that. On to the next thought. Deep Tea said, whenever I hear it, it's more of like, you never know. It automatically sounds in a good way for me. I love that. I love that. And I want you to always have that outlook and energy behind that. I like when you hear quotes and it makes you feel good. It sounds good. I like that. You never know. Cassidy, I really don't live by expect the unexpected, but more by always expect the worst so you're never disappointed. That's interesting. And like I had said, that is how I used to function. Right after my mom passed away, that's exactly how I was. I was like, you know what? I'm going to expect the worst, so I wasn't disappointed. And, that's what I meant by, I don't know if it was me having that expectation of the worst outcome that manifested the worst to happen. And that's why I want to make this a 2-on-2 conversation with you guys, not a 2-on-2 like a 17 by 17. I'm just kidding. I wanted to make this like a group conversation because I don't know if that's what happens or if that's just a coincidence. I don't know. So I will have to say, once the worst started happening to me, even though, like, I will say I handled it with a bit of stoicism, whatever it was, I handled it with out much display of feelings or complaints, but that's when I kind of wondered, is it me up here that's making this happen? Like, am I expecting the worst and inviting the worst? So that's where my question is. I don't know. So Tijuana, Amber Grace. That's a beautiful name. Honestly, you can set your expectations how high and low as you desire, but for me, this sucks. My real true expectations end up being subconscious. I can try so hard to remember not being disappointed if something doesn't work out, but it still hurts because my hopes ended up being too subconscious. I can agree with you on that one. I really can. I'm that way as well at times, you know. I can try so hard to not be disappointed if something doesn't work out, but then in the end I'm like, yep, you know, you had it in the back of your mind, your subconscious knew. I wonder if it's like, if my thoughts had any influence on my reality, or if my thoughts were maybe a early warning sign. I agree with you. It's very hard for us to not, you know, still end up being hurt, because we all have hopes and we still do have expectations even for the unexpected. So I agree with that, Amber. I really do. Why said, just like our ability to see and hear is limited, our wisdom and knowledge is limited as well. We might make the most extensive of plans, but perhaps they do not work out, which is disappointing at the moment. But so many times we realize after months and years why that particular thing did not go as planned. And then we are actually thankful that our plan fell apart. We should be aware that what we expect or want is by far not always the best for us, and we should be thankful in every circumstance because there is wisdom behind it, although we cannot comprehend it immediately. Now, if that was not everything, holy moly, I love that. I absolutely love that so much. Just like our ability to see and hear is limited, our wisdom and knowledge is limited as well. We should be aware that what we expect or want is by far not always the best for us. I think that is such an important thing. Wow. And again, time. Time is sometimes our best teacher, or our best, like, uncoverer. That is so interesting, so interesting. Violet Soul, that is also a wonderful name. It is always good to have a plan, but also be flexible. You can plan as good as you want, but when life happens, there are things that we haven't planned for. Sometimes I prepare for something and there's a totally different outcome, and it can be felt as negative or positive depending on the situation. But surprises are wonderful too, and that's life. You never know what you get. Yes. And I really like that you mentioned that although we can prepare for things, sometimes the outcome is nothing like we prepared for. So I like that, because it's reminding us, be flexible and not obsessive, like we mentioned. We don't be obsessed about what's to come or how it's going to come, what the outcome's going to be. I really like this, Violet. It's good to have a plan, but it's also good to be flexible. Yes, yes. So Brooke said, in a way, I think it means to have absolutely zero expectations. The statement is a bit of a negation. You can't expect something you don't intend on expecting. Having expectations, even good ones, can be to our own detriment. I agree with you, Brooke, 100%. That's where I'm saying having expectations can be to our own detriment. I like this one because it definitely has me thinking a lot. I think it means to have zero expectations, you know, because good ones and bad ones can be to our own detriment, you know? So that's what I mean. Is it better to just go with the flow and ride in the middle and just be neutral, you know? Yeah. I like that. Magdalena. For me, it's like, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. You don't have to be stressed for not knowing what's going to come next, but just go with the flow. Let life go on. Always stay open and welcome changes, but take your time to adjust without pressure. Also, don't be static and learn from your past mistakes so you have enough experience and wisdom to deal with new unexpected situations and different life problems. I love the way your guys' minds work. I'm Fine says, the unexpected can throw us into the deep end, yes, but it is how we avoid staying in our comfort zones. Anything that is expected gives us some privilege to prepare. And most of the time, expectations don't turn out 100% accurate anyway. They could be better, could be worse. I think expect the unexpected is an accurate way of approaching life. What is life but a collection of wild experiences beyond our limited perceptions anyway? I really like these thoughts, you guys. I really like these a lot. And why I said that I also wanted to read your guys' thoughts too was because you guys have such amazing thoughts. I wish I would have said some of this stuff, and I wish I thought this way. That's why I think more heads are better than one, and I want to kind of start incorporating that into my videos, because like I said, I have my thoughts and my ideas and my life experiences, but just as much as I teach you, you guys, you have no idea what you're teaching me. I want this to kind of be something we do. I don't really know how. I don't know, how I want to go about it. So also give me some tips. Like, do we want to start a podcast? What do we want to do? Okay, so Dario, ciao, Sara. Okay, an ancient, primordial fear, that of the unknown, still extremely ingrained in our subconscious. What is one of the traits that differentiates us from animals? Having our own consciousness. Let us dwell on the individual one. Although they work symbiotically, the collective one has a different function. Why do we have a consciousness? I believe it serves to ascribe meaning to our surroundings through filters finely regulated by our upbringing, religion, where we grew up, who raised us, school, family, friends, books read, and the music listened to. In short, everything that in a way has been able to shape one's knowledge. But also, and especially life experiences that, in my opinion, trick the mind into believing that if something happened, it is likely to happen again. A cycle of events predestined to happen, fate, from which perhaps there is no escape. Is there no room for randomness? I think so. I believe that small variations can lead to big changes. Maybe sometimes they are intended changes, sometimes they are unintended changes. Sometimes they are signals that perhaps we pick up in what is in the vastness of the ether. Can one escape this pattern? One of the greatest teachings of Buddhism is the presence of non-attachment. It is not an easy thing, and at first it can be dazing to think that you can live in emotional indifference. Actually, I believe this teaching comes rather from the willingness to live everything to the full. I am talking about interpersonal relationships, but it can also be simply eating ice cream. So fully enjoying something the moment we realize we are living that specific moment. The problem also arises at the biological level in that something that gives us pleasure stimulates various receptors and floods our bodies with pleasant sensations and a flow of hormones that we would not want to give up. Where is the crux of teaching? Understanding that everything begins and ends, and that is in the natural order of things. Losing someone we care about. The initial sorrow, the sense of detachment and lack will soon be thinned out and replaced with the sense of knowing that I loved that person. I was loved, and we both gave everything so that our time together was best spent. I have dwelt in detail on relationships because I believe that they are the most important thing. The unexpected can also be a flat tire on the highway, but it is such a trivial situation that I don't think it can lead to emotional crisis. Although wanting to play, in retrospect, maybe that the tire caused guy X to stop and help, maybe we got a drink, and one thing led to another, and they lived happy ever after. We welcomed the unexpected. Maybe that's what we didn't know we needed. Wow. Wow. So, that was amazing. I really like that. The unexpected can also be a flat tire on the highway. It's such a trivial situation that I do not think it can lead to emotional crisis. Although, wanting to play, in retrospect, maybe that flat tire caused guy X to stop and help. And you know what's so interesting that you even mentioned, I'm sorry, this is amazing. This is the way your mind works and the way you're able to elaborate and articulate yourself is wonderful. Thank you very much for taking the time to leave that comment. I think this is so interesting, and as they mentioned, expecting the unexpected can be something like that. What if it's something that unexpectedly happened to somebody else? Like you said, you're just driving by and a flat tire blew off of somebody else's car, but you stopped to help them, There has been so many weird and interesting times where something just had me stop and either talk to somebody or help, and that unexpected situation really turned out to just be something else, to really be something else. That was amazing. I really, really liked that. Wow. Okay, so next, Antonella. The law of attraction could disagree. So this is the one I did glimpse, and I was like, you know what? I can't read anymore. The law of attraction could disagree. You expect what you expect for yourself. If it is unexpected, then your manifestations come as an unknown surprise at any given time. But maybe a more accurate statement would be, you get what you give. So you attract what you are putting out in terms of desire or vibration or feeling. But the statement you gave has a somewhat inspiring quality. You can have your desires, but things will always come to you that you can never expect because life is so expansive. You can never predict what will happen, but you certainly can prepare. Love you, Sara from London. Sending you so much love. I loved this very, very, very much. It's even more interesting that I was skimming through to see if I had any comments left from you guys. And that one like just popped out to me because I saw law of attraction could disagree. And that's when I was like, okay, don't read anymore, because that's kind of where my mind was turning. As you heard in my video, I was like, I don't know if we're manifesting our current realities based off of the expectations we have. So I really liked that. I like that. You can't prepare, you never know what's going to happen, but we don't know what to expect or what to do, but we can certainly prepare. WFYD said, I personally don't really go with that saying because I think I shouldn't worry about what might happen, especially if it is not something important to me. In general, I think it's too tiring to think about what might happen in certain situations and that we should all just go with the flow. Also, I understand that is a naive and childish way of thinking, but I am not a planner in any way, and I do not like to worry about the situations that have not already happened. Maybe it's a coping mechanism because I'm already very anxious about health and similar things. So worrying about some things that might not or might happen seems too much for me personally. This reminds me of when I had mentioned that it's our mindset that really kind of determines how we go about handling that saying of expecting the unexpected. You know, I've even gotten to that point too where I'm no longer I'm not worrying about the bad things that can happen anymore. And you know, like you said, that might be a coping mechanism. I truly agree that putting that much energy into things that may or may not happen, it can be very, very tiring. And I think that's why we need to be so careful with, you know, what we're expecting, what we're thinking about with the future, how we're handling the now. Yeah, I really like that. The Kenia, expect for the worst and the good. I really like that. Tay said, there is hope in that saying because things are always changing. So things might look a little rough, but that could always change, and that's how I try to look at it. I really like that a lot as well. Sage of the Lotus. To expect the unexpected is to know that all possibilities are indeed possible. And when you know that, you know God. Anticipate your wildest dreams, hope for them, reach for them, expect them, and never stop expecting anything within you to be fully realized. That was beautiful. Anticipate your wildest dreams, hope for them, reach for them, expect them, and never stop. You know, as I mentioned, I think that's how we used to be as children, but then time and wisdom and experiences kind of dampened that. So now, you know, I think we're just always thinking and expecting for the worst to happen. Yeah, I like that. Keep chasing our dreams, you guys. Prepare for the worst case scenario, said iCarly. So what were your guys' thoughts on all of this? I loved the feedback. I did not expect such amazing responses. But yeah, I think that about ties up our little conversation, you know? And what I took from it, you guys, is that we don't have to always be expecting the negative things. We can prepare for stuff. Most importantly, I think we need to know it's okay to go with the flow, but remind ourselves the power of the law of attraction and of manifesting and of goal setting and planning and still having good and positive expectations while understanding that life is going to be life and it's a crazy roller coaster. But at least we don't have to expect it to be a smooth ride, you know? We know it's going to be a wild ride. I think that's magical. So I still want to hear all of your guys' thoughts in the comments. Please, if you didn't leave your opinion on the on that saying, expect the unexpected, if you've had any personal experiences where, you know, like we've kind of mentioned, you expected one thing to happen and it didn't, share that below. Like I said, I want us to kind of make this community a little bit more, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? I want us to just help each other more and vibrate off of one another, and yeah, just uplift each other and show each other, you know, we're not alone. We're all having crazy thoughts. We're all anxious about the future. We all are anxious about the unknown and the uncertainty of the future, you know, but we all know for a fact, right, that this experience is beautiful. And I think it's very, 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 very magical that all of us are experiencing being a human at this time, like for some reason. And I think that's crazy. I think that's really cool. So please know that you are never alone. Never alone. I know the world is so big and it's crazy and it's uncertain, but one thing is for sure, like I said, I love and care about you. You have a safe spot in the comments in this channel, messaging me, emailing me, thinking to me, send me your thoughts, talk to me telepathically. I'll try to listen. So I'm going to call this one a wrap. This one's a little bit long, but I hope you really enjoyed it. I really do. And I can't wait to hear your thoughts. And I look forward to our next video. I'm not sure what it's going to be. I have a few ideas, so we'll see. And if you have anything that you want me to talk about, another topic that we could all go in on, let me know. Yeah, I will see you, and I hope you have a peaceful day. Don't forget to eat food, drink, and get some rest, and do a little workout if you want to, and sit in the sun. All right, bye.